Mid-March 1945. The Third Reich was collapsing. The last factories still in operation continued producing tanks at the fastest possible pace. Meanwhile, the German army was retreating on every front, and defeat seemed inevitable. Yet, even in its dying days, Germany tried to resist with its most powerful weapons. In Kassel, an industrial city in the heart of Hesse, stood the Henschel factory, famous for building the Tiger tank. There, under more than 40 Allied bombing raids, the last 8 Tiger II were completed, the most feared tanks of the Second World War. With young and barely trained crews, these 69-ton giants rolled straight off the production line and into battle. What followed was one of the Reich's final desperate defenses, Tigers fighting to protect their own factory against the unstoppable advance of Patton's troops. This is the story of that desperate episode of the Second World War. Kassel, a medium-sized city in the German state of Hesse, had a pre-war population of 200,000 and lies about 140 kilometers northeast of Frankfurt am Main. It was also home to the Henschel tank factory, where the famous Tiger II was built. This 69-ton tank was the largest to see combat during the war, though not the heaviest armored vehicle. That title belonged to the 71-ton Jagdtiger tank destroyer. The Tiger II, known in German as the Königstiger or King Tiger, was the successor to the Tiger I. It combined the heavy armor of its predecessor with the sloped armor design of the Panther. Armed with the devastating 88 mm anti-tank gun, it was virtually impervious to Allied weapons from the front. Its baptism of fire came in Normandy in July 1944. However, the design was plagued with mechanical problems, many caused by its sheer weight. Only 492 were ever built, but in the right hands it could be a devastating defensive weapon, especially in open terrain. By late March 1945, after months of bitter fighting on the Western Front, the U.S. Army was advancing deep into Germany. They had defeated the Ardennes offensive in the winter of 1944 and crossed the Rhine at Remagen in early March. On March 22, 1945, elements of Patton's Third Army crossed the formidable Rhine River at Oppenheim near Mainz. Patton's mission was to secure the southern flank of the U.S. First Army as it advanced toward Paderborn, preventing German reinforcements from reaching the Ruhr pocket, where hundreds of thousands of German soldiers were being encircled. Leading the attack was the 13th Corps, which pushed east through weak German resistance, reaching Frankfurt on March 26th. To the southwest, 20th Corps advanced toward Kassel, with orders to capture the city by March 30th. The U.S. 80th Infantry Division of 80th Corps began moving into position to take the bomb-ravaged city. Meanwhile, at the Henschel plant, workers raced against time to finish 8 Tiger, the last to ever leave the assembly lines. At the final assembly plant in Mittelfeld, 50 men of the 3rd Company, 511th Heavy Tank Battalion, received these last 8 Tiger II, ready to drive them straight into combat. Alongside the feared Tiger and the formidable 88 mm anti-aircraft batteries, Kassel's German garrison also included several hundred men of the 15th Armored Infantry Replacement and Training Battalion. Shortly before, Hitler had declared Kassel a Festung, a fortress city, with strict orders to resist to the last man. But in reality, this designation would prove more symbolic than practical. In command of the defense was Major General Johannes Erxleben, a communications officer with little combat experience, now tasked with leading a hopeless battle. Erxleben commanded around 6,000 soldiers. His main fighting force was the 15th Replacement Grenadier Regiment, supported by several anti-aircraft batteries and units of the Volkssturm. On March 30th, the 8 Tiger II and their newly formed crews moved south toward Fritzlar to reinforce Kassel's outer defenses, just 29 kilometers from the city. There, they unexpectedly collided with the spearhead of Patton's Third Army. In the clash, they managed to destroy between 6 and 9 American tanks and tank destroyers, halting the U.S. advance without suffering any losses of their own. shortly after, a heavy American artillery barrage rained down on them, forcing the Tigers to pull back. The following day, April 1st, the U.S. 80th Division approached Kassel from the south, only to be stopped by a battery of 88 mm guns manned by men from the Reich Labor Service. The Tigers had also withdrawn to that sector. On April 2nd, American artillery wiped out the battery, while the infantry of the 318th Regiment advanced into the wooded heights west of Kassel as other units crossed the Fulda River. Erxleben ordered a counterattack with a battalion of the 15th Grenadier Regiment, supported by 15 half-tracks and around 12 tanks, including the Tiger II. The strike caught the Americans completely by surprise. One Tiger was damaged, but the Germans destroyed 6 enemy tank destroyers. However, the German infantry and armor became separated, and the tanks were once again hammered by heavy U.S. artillery fire, losing 2 vehicles. After American artillery devastated the German positions, the men of the 80th Division steadily began to encircle the city. By the end of the day, the western and southern suburbs were already in American hands. In a desperate attempt to halt the Allied advance into Kassel, the Germans launched yet another attack, but once more, it was crushed by U.S. artillery. On April 3rd, American troops eliminated the entrenched grenadiers using M16 half-tracks armed with quad 12.7 caliber machine guns. Many German soldiers surrendered. Meanwhile, the remaining Tigers were ordered to withdraw eastward. To cover the retreat, a Tiger commanded by Sergeant Heinz Wilms took up a position at the eastern highway exit of Kassel with an excellent field of fire. At first, it managed to repel the attackers, but a local civilian guided U.S. forces to a vantage point from which they could ambush it from the rear. The Tiger was eventually destroyed, and around 500 German soldiers were captured. By April 4th, U.S. forces had completely surrounded Kassel. Inside the city, the fighting turned into brutal house-to-house combat. The few German defenders could barely slow the Allied advance. By the morning of April 4th, American troops broke into the city center from multiple directions. At 9 o'clock in the morning, General Erxleben's bunker was virtually encircled. Shortly after, the German commander sent an envoy to negotiate terms of surrender, but the reply was firm. The only acceptable condition was the immediate end of all resistance. By midday, American armor had crossed the Fulda River and entered the heart of the city. With no options left, General Erxleben capitulated along with 1,325 men. Thus, the Battle of Kassel came to an end, marking yet another fallen piece in the collapsing structure of the Third Reich. Although the exact number of American losses remains unknown, it is estimated that the last 8 Tiger destroyed at least 25 enemy armored vehicles. Would you like to analyze the defense of Hamburg or the defense of the Elbe River in April 1945? You'll find both programs linked in the description. Thank you for watching, and as I always say, I'll see you next Sunday.